Hello, fiber friends. Welcome back to Media Pet Wanna Knit. Today we are talking about adorable patterns for adorable babies. So if that sounds like it will be of interest to you, I hope you'll stick around. Hello again, fiber friends. Welcome back to the Media Pet Wanna Knit's YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Kristen, and this is my spot on YouTube where I talk about knitting. So today we are going to be talking about patterns for babies. I love knitting for babies because the patterns are really cute. The recipients can't complain. And if you knit something in a baby size, it will fit some baby at some point. Another wonderful thing about baby patterns is that they knit up quite quickly, which we all enjoy. So my brother and sister-in-law are expecting their second baby next month. And because of that, I have been looking around on Ravelry, trying to decide what I wanted to knit. They're having a girl this time. Last time they had a boy. And of course, I have two boys, so I'm looking forward to getting to knit some girly stuff. And I thought I would put together a video of just some of the most adorable patterns that I found. And there are quite a few of them. So today I'm going to talk about 10 of them. They will all be linked in the bundle in the description box below. And I've also thrown some extra patterns in there as well. All right, so since it's summer, let's start off with a nice summery pattern. This is the Pickles Romper. This is actually the project that I knit for my nephew 2 years ago when he was born, so I can vouch for the actual pattern. This, as you can see, is an adorable little romper. It is worked in fingering weight yarn, and it does call for a cotton, so it is definitely a summery pattern. While it's true that in the summer, babies, especially newborn babies, are often wearing more layers than the rest of us might be, it is still also a nice idea to have some cool fiber projects to wear when it really is quite hot. So this pattern includes sizes. This is a very specific baby pattern. So some of the patterns I'm going to share include sizes for toddlers, even up to kids. But this one is very specifically for babies. So it only includes 3 sizes, 1 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, and 6 to 9 months. The yarn it calls for is Baby Pure Cotton by Anchor. I don't really know anything about that. When I knit my version of this, I believe I used Ritual Dye's Undine, which I just happen to have some of. So this is a really adorable pattern that has a little kangaroo pocket on the front. I always find pockets in kids' clothes, especially baby clothes, so entertaining. Like, you can't use a pocket. Why do you have a pocket? That's hilarious. I am just a big fan of pockets in baby clothes. Do I remember how this has worked? Let's see what it says. Maybe it'll trigger my memory. Pickles is a sweet baby romper designed to be easily knit in just 2 pieces. It does not say, but as I recall, it is worked from the bottom up, flat. I'm almost 100% positive about that. I will say that this is maybe not the most practical knit for a new baby because honestly, when you have lots of diaper changes to do, it is much easier to do that if you have something that snaps at the crotch. um, but it is really adorable, and maybe for pictures, photo ops, things like that, it might be a nice choice. There are lots of projects on Ravelry that you can look at, and it is available for just €7 or $8.33. It uses really just a teeny bit of yarn, so it might be a nice choice if you have some leftovers from a cotton project, especially if you're knitting the newborn size. So again, that one is the Pickles Romper. That is by Marta Porcel. Another thing I'm a big fan of for babies is things that make babies look like animals. So this fits right in. This is the Rail Bear Bonnet. This is a pattern by Pernille Larsen of Knitting for Olive. She has, I want to say, at least 2 of these because I know I have knit another of her baby bear bonnet patterns, but that one was in stockinette, and this one you can see is in garter stitch, which makes it a better beginner project. So the Rail Bear Bonnet includes a whole bunch of sizes, 1, 3, 6, 9, 12 to 18, and 24 months. So that's going to be newborn all the way up to 2 years old. And the recommended yarn is obviously Knitting for Olive. The sample uses the merino, which is a fingering weight, with the soft silk mohair, which is obviously a floofy lace weight. You could probably just use a plain heavier fingering weight and that would be fine. And again, this one is in garter stitch. It's worked back and forth flat. So this is another nice choice for a beginner. If you're not a super experienced knitter and you just want to make something really cute for a baby. Baby Bear Garter Bonnet is a beginner-friendly hat with cute little bear ears worked back and forth in garter stitch. You start working the ribbed faceband before shaping the top, crown, ears, and the background with simple increases and decreases. So as I recall, the other baby bear hat that I had worked had some short rows. It was a little bit more complicated. So this is definitely a little bit simpler. Next, you work the ties and the back neckband and garter stitch before finishing the bonnet by seaming up the ears and the background. It doesn't really say the exact yarn amount. It just says one ball of each of the recommended yarns. And the yardage for the merino is 273, and I'm sure this doesn't use all of that. I actually think this would probably be a good choice for scrap yarn, especially, or leftover yarn, especially if you're working one of the smaller sizes. So that is available on Ravelry for 35 Danish kroner or $5.59. Again, the Rail Bear bonnet. Speaking of making babies look like animals, this is the Hoodie Sword. This is so cute. This is a jacket with like stegosaurus spikes on the back, and it's absolutely adorable. And it's called the hoodie jacket. Of course, it goes up and over the head. So Hoodiesaurus is by Little Theorem. It's available on Ravelry for $7, and it uses a worsted weight yarn. Maybe the cutest hoodie of all time. This is a simple garter stitch hoodie with the twist spines. It comes in, a whole bunch of sizes. So this fits all the way up from newborn to an 11-year-old. So we say baby, but really this goes all the way up into kids. I could even make this for my son, my younger son, if I thought he would wear it. But I don't, because he doesn't like things on his head. But regardless, this is absolutely adorable. And this is definitely something where I would probably knit it in a little bit of a bigger size so that they could get more wear out of it. Because, it's a jacket. It doesn't need to have a super close fit. It can be worn earlier by rolling up the sleeves and things like that. And then as they grow. Definitely this is going to be a little bit more of an involved piece, and you want them to be able to use it for a while, and kids grow very quickly. So probably I would not knit this in the newborn size. I would definitely consider going a little bit bigger so that baby can grow into it. Let's see what else. Starts with a provisional cast on at the neckline, worked top down with a raglan construction. Stitches are picked up for the sleeves, then picked up from the provisional cast on and worked to make the hood. And then you start making your stegosaurus spines along the back. It says we include instructions for optional waist and sleeve shaping and for 2 sizes of buttonholes if you don't like toggles. So it looks like this is going to be a pretty comprehensive pattern. I have not tried this one myself. It is really cute though. Maybe I might have to make this for my nephew, for the coming winter because it is just so adorable. So again, this one is the Hoodiesaurus by Little Theorem, $7 on Ravelry. And as I said, my brother and sister-in-law are having a little girl this time, so I have really been looking especially for pretty girly patterns, and that definitely includes this next one. This is another one by Pernille Larsen from Knitting for Olive. So again, the recommended yarn is going to be Knitting for Olive, but pretty versatile. Knitting for Olive merino is just a fingering weight merino. So this is the lace dress body. So again, by Pernille Larsen, available on Ravelry for 50 Danish kroner or $7.99. This one again uses the light fingering weight Knitting for Olive yarn, and it includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sizes. So from newborn to 2 years old. And it's available in a whole bunch of languages: English, Danish, German, Korean, Norwegian, and Swedish. The lace dress body is a dainty yet practical bodysuit. The interior bodysuit makes sure that the dress keeps in place when baby is lying down or crawling on the floor, and it also covers the diaper. So I really like that. I think dresses are a cute idea for babies and toddlers, but in practice, they often don't work out that well. And I think a bodysuit um, is a little bit more helpful, holding diapers in place, just keeping clothes, where they're supposed to be. It's worked from the bottom up. The bodysuit is worked up to the yoke, then the skirt is worked afterward, and the two pieces are joined, and then you finish the yoke. The upper part of the yoke is worked back and forth to form the slit at the back of the neck. I-cord edges are worked along the armhole and the leg openings, and this does snap at the bottom of the bodysuit, which again, I think really is key if you want a wearable, practical bodysuit. So this is just so darling. I love this lace, really pretty. But then you also have that practicality of the bodysuit. And there's such a little cute little baby modeling it on the pattern page, which is also adorable. So I think if there are girl babies expected in your family soon, this one would be a really cute choice. And there are 376 projects on Ravelry that you can look through if you want to see different yarn ideas, things like that. So again, that one is the Lace Dress Body by Pernille Larsen. Generally speaking, shoes, socks, booties for babies they just take them off as soon as they can. They really do. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't make some. That doesn't mean that they're not a really cute choice. And these are especially cute. So these are little Converse. This is a pattern by, I don't know, this person doesn't, it says Blanche N, not an actual name. It is a free pattern, is a free Ravelry download. Only comes in 2 sizes. Okay, you don't have to pay for it, so you can't be too picky about the sizing. There's not a whole lot of details here on the pattern page, but of course, since it's a free download, you can just download it to get all of the details. You don't have to worry too much about that. It uses worsted weight yarn. As I said, it only comes in 2 sizes. This is definitely something you would probably want to do for a very young baby. So make that smallest size, get them to wear these before they are big enough to start pulling off their own socks, which happens surprisingly quickly. But they're just adorable. Who doesn't want a little pair of high top chucks for a baby? That is just darling. There are 300 projects here on Ravelry, so you can look at all of the different options and color choices and things that people have made, and everybody's cute little babies wearing them, and they really are very darling. Perfect project for scrap yarn. It doesn't have the yarn amounts on the pattern page, but as you can see it, looking at it, it clearly does not use a whole lot of yarn. So definitely a cute scrap project. You can make, a little 2 or 3 different pairs using your scrap yarn, and then they'll have a little baby Converse wardrobe. So again, that is the little Converse, a free pattern on Ravelry. I think toys are so, I'm not a big amigurumi person. I don't make a lot of little toys, and I never have. But this pattern, I made this when my first friend, from college got pregnant. So she was the first person in our friend group to get pregnant and had a baby, which was probably like 15 years ago now. Wow, getting old. And it is just so cute. This is Elephante. This is a pattern by Susan V. Anderson. This is a great choice if you are not sure what the baby's sex is going to be. It's a great choice if you personally find knitting garments for babies not particularly fun because they grow out of them so quickly. It's a little plushy toy. It doesn't have any little, eyes or anything that could hurt baby in any way. It's a great choice for scrap yarn or leftover yarn, and it is just so adorable. So it says any worsted weight yarn will do. Perfect project to use up your stash. You can make up your own colorway for if you want to do the striped version. Obviously, you're going to need some fiber fill. This is also a thing you can use little bits of scrap yarn for, is stuffing toys. Um, so the yarn that they used was Julia by Nashua Knits, which was a wool alpaca mohair, but really any worsted weight yarn is going to work for this. And can definitely be a stash buster, um, or a good use for your leftovers. It only uses 100 to 200 yards. It has been a very long time since I knit this, but as I recall, there is some sewing, which is kind of just to be expected with little plushies, but it's so cute. It really is very adorable. I think I actually have, I'm not going to share pictures of other people's children on the internet, but I do have a photo of my friend's baby with the elephant that I knit so many years ago, and it's just adorable. So again, that one is Elephante. It is free. It is not a Ravelry download though. You have to go over to her blog to grab that one. All right, sticking with our animal theme, we have Little A. This is a pattern by Morissette C. As you can see, it is a teddy bear sweater. Scroll down to the English. Here we go. So apparently it is available in English and French. It is available from their website for €8, so not direct Ravelry download. And let's scrolling down to the English. It says Little A is a side opening cardigan. It has refined finishes, a neckband, and double stockinette. The translation here is not great. A non-deformable button band. Imagine what that's supposed to be. The hem on the bottom of the sleeves is ideal for turning them over and enjoying this cardigan for longer. So I'm going to guess that means it's a practical sleeve hem for folding up, rolling up, so that you knit the larger size and then baby can wear it for longer. So the sizes available are newborn 3, 6, 12, 18, and 24 months. And this uses a sport weight yarn. So the recommended yarn is a rayon linen yarn. So this is maybe a good choice for something lighter, more plant-based. But I feel like wool would probably work here as well, or maybe a wool blend. It is a little tricky to tell, but it looks like the little teddy bear face is duplicate stitched on after you are done. So she has a list of other yarns that were tried by testers, so that will also be helpful. And then she has a list of techniques. It says available in a classic version or with a teddy bear finish, but it still doesn't say exactly how the teddy bear is put on there. But again, it looks like that's duplicate stitch. And maybe if you speak French, you can find out a little bit more. But that is just really cute. If you kind of want to do like the bear thing, but you don't, want to go all in on like a whole bear suit or bear, you get just a little hint of bearness, of teddy bearness. And there are 80 some projects that you can look through on Ravelry to get an idea of other yarns and things that people have used. So again, that one is called Little A by Morissette C. And another project that I'm considering knitting my new niece is the Croissandra Sweater Mini. So I think this is really cute and has just some like delicate kind of feminine details, a little bit girly looking, not over the top, not as lacy like the bodysuit. So this is patterned by Nashua Sacker, and it is available on Ravelry for €6.75 or about $8 US. It is available in English and French, and it is sized from newborn all the way up to 3 to 4 years old. So again, this one gets some older kids as well. This is so cute. It says mini. I wonder if there's an adult version. I didn't even look. The Croissandra sweater is knitted top down, starting with the back yoke. Stitches are picked up from the shoulders to form the front yoke. The rest of the body is worked in the round, and then the sleeves are picked up. And it is worked in Drops Soft Tweed, which is a DK weight wool alpaca rayon. Apologies to Kate if you are watching. So my sister-in-law knits as well. And I know she has used some of my tutorials before. I don't think she watches the podcast, but if you do, look away. So I actually think I'm going to knit this one, and I have some yarn for it. So this is a now discontinued yarn from Knit Picks called Kindred. It is a DK weight, and it is a nice blend of baby alpaca and cotton. So it's warm, but it's light, and just this very like beautiful pale lilac, which I think would be so cute. So I'm heavily considering this option for new niece whose name will be Leonor, which I love and love. Like Edgar Allan Poe and the Raven, Lenore. Love it. Okay. Ahora sí, Kate. Yeah. So again, this is sized all the way up to kids. It uses DK weight yarn. Obviously not going to be a whole ton of yarn for small sizes. You should know how to do short rows. There is applied I-cord. What else was I going to say about this? Yeah, so the total yarn is 427 to 711 yards. So probably you've got that in your stash if you want to do something like this. There are 100 projects on Ravelry if you want to look through for yarn ideas. It is looking like lots of garter stitch, which is nice to work flat, not as nice to work in the round, but sometimes we have to make sacrifices. I really just love that little scallop at the bottom and the little ties at the wrist. It's just darling. I absolutely love this one. The next one is another sort of trope I like for kids and babies, which is kids and babies dressed in things for grown-ups. So this is the back to school kids jacket, and it is like a little baby Letterman jacket. And I think that's adorable. I don't know why. So back to school kids jacket. This is a pattern by Sandra Malgales. I don't speak Portuguese, so I probably did not pronounce that very well. The pattern is available in English, Portuguese, and Spanish, and on Ravelry for €5 or about $5.96. So this is worked in an Aran weight yarn, so it's going to work up quickly. And this is another one that is sized from newborn all the way up to teenager, 13, 14 years old. It's less cute as they get older. You know, at 13 or 14, you're almost ready maybe to wear a Letterman jacket, but not when you're 4 months old because it's just so cute. So back to school kids jacket is a gender neutral jacket inspired by the varsity jackets, also known as Letterman jackets. The style dates back as far as the 1930s. This design includes two versions, one seamed and another seamless. You can apply snap buttons or regular buttonholes and buttons. And some things you will need to know to do this are knit, purl, simple increases and decreases, picking up stitches, binding off, and optionally knitting in the round. So pretty basic skills, nothing super complicated going on here. And really the kind of look is going to depend on the colors that you choose. So you could choose some like very, sort of high school sports inspired colors. They always seem to be like really vibrant and not something normal people would wear. Like my colors at Bucknell are like blue and orange. Like nobody will wear these colors together normally. That is going to give it like a real kind of Letterman jacket look, or you can go more subtle. It looks like it has some really nice neck shaping. I like the collar. And you've got stripes, but no like complicated color work or anything, unless there are a couple people here. And you can look at the projects. There are over 100 of them. A couple people who like embroidered or duplicate stitched on like letters, school logos, things like that. So really cute, especially I think for babies. Babies wearing grown-up clothes will always be funny to me. And depending on the size you're knitting, you're probably going to be able to make this out of scrap yarn. So it looks like it calls for 3 colors. You could play with that as you want. Again, it calls for an Aran weight yarn, which is maybe not something that everybody has. The gauge is 17 stitches over 4 inches, which you could probably get with a worsted weight yarn, something that doesn't quite make its way up to Aran. So the recommended yarn is, well, she has a few here. We have Cashmerino Aran by Debbie Bliss, Drops Big Merino by Garn Studio, and Merino Aran by Katya. So she has given you some ideas there, and I think most of those are pretty reasonably priced yarns. So again, that one is the Back to School Kids Jacket. All right, and the last one I'm going to talk about today is another animal-inspired one that I just think is so cute. This is the Fox Baby Yoke sweater. And this is by Claudia Quintanilla, who you may know. She does a lot. She works at Unit in Toronto. She's on their social media a lot. Um, and she obviously designs her own patterns as well. This is just, I love red foxes. They're so cute. And I especially love them knit. There are a fair number of knitting patterns on Ravelry that feature these little fox faces, and I think they're all adorable. So I, of course, like this one. So this pattern is available on Ravelry for $9 Canadian or $6.87 US, and it is worked in a DK weight. So if you really wanted to get specific about your fox colors, obviously you're going to have to buy red, and but if you were a little bit more liberal with your color choices, you could probably use scrap yarn for most of the yoke, especially if you were knitting the smaller sizes. But it is sized from 3 to 6 months up to 4 years. The yarn used is Genmu by Daruma. I have never heard of that before. It is a 100% merino DK weight yarn. Circular yoke pullover worked from the bottom up, written with 5 sizes, keyhole opening in the back neck for the baby sizes. And that is because babies have giant heads. Must know how to knit and purl in the round, work single increases and decreases, and be obviously comfortable working with 2 colors at one time. And there is some duplicate stitching that goes on as well. So if you are working the baby size, you should be aware that you're going to have to do color work flat because of that keyhole opening in the back. I'm not a fan of doing color work flat, but sometimes it's worth it. So that is just adorable. There are over 200 projects on Ravelry that you can look through. And it doesn't look like, it's not like 200 projects, everyone using the exact same yarn because they bought the kit. There are different colors on here, different sizes, all very, very adorable and many of them on very adorable children. So if you are enjoying some color work, like red foxes, this is a really cute choice. Again, this is a Fox Baby Yoke sweater from Claudia Quintanilla. All right, those are the 10 baby patterns I wanted to share with you today. As I said, I included some extras in the bundle that is linked in the description box down below. These are mostly patterns that I had knit in the past for my kids, and I know that I enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you found it useful or entertaining, I hope you will give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. New knitting videos here every Saturday. If you're looking for me on social media, you can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Media Peruana, and I will see you soon in another video. And now for your viewing pleasure, some photos of my children in some of the patterns that you will find linked in the bundle that I knit them many, many years ago because they are now 10 and 12 years old.